as you do the flaw assignment, so I want you to do because this is going to come up over and over in that flaw assignment. As you do the flaw assignment, all I want you to do, again, go through volume 5, exams 62 through 71, only in the logical reasoning. All you got to do is send me the page and question number that you think represents a flaw. So if you go to page 18, question number 9 says the argument's reasoning is flawed because, then that page number and that question number should be on your list. Just send me that list. I will send you my list, and I will send you the protocol that I want you to use, which is the IRAC-driven stuff. It'll say, here's how I want you to proceed. Do you get that in law? Would it be fair to say that for some of you, you would not say, I'm in the position right now of I've mastered the if-then statement. Would that be fair to say?
Yes.
Yes.
It's so critical to understand that that has nothing to do with you, and that is entirely representative of the law school experience. There's almost no law school class you're going to leave where you say, I got it. It wouldn't be law school. It's just not the way it is. Well, you know, I mean, people pay me to think. Whether I was good at it, I don't know. Honest to God, I don't know. I think I'm pretty good at it, but I've done a lot of work. So the whole thing about law school is you separate the wheat from the chaff, right? Because you sit in there, and your head's going to spin off your shoulders. And then whoever's in the front of the room is going to say, now do this assignment. I've designed it so that you can learn. You see, you can't rub my head and go take the LSAT. You know, it's not the Vulcan mind meld. So, with respect to the flaw assignment, I absolutely assure you, if you do this assignment, right, and all I want from you, page number, question number, what you're saying to me, I think the issue here is a flaw issue. That's all. So how does that come about? They use the word flaw, the word error, the word questionable, the word vulnerable, the word reasoning, and the word argument, or the word argument.
All those words have to be present for today as well.
Yes. Yeah. And then you're going to get my protocol, which is how I want you to don't worry about a clock. And as you do this, you're going to encounter multiple examples of if-then statements. And what they're testing you on the if-then statements is, do you actually understand what we just discussed? Do you understand what the denial of the antecedent means, what's the affirmative of the antecedent? Would you understand that stuff? And it's okay not to understand that right now. You're really not supposed to. Don't you get, if you do, you get there are some people in here who will do the work, and some people may not do the work. Yes? Who would you hire as your attorney?
People that do the work.
Where's Aristotle? Right? So then you do that, and you come back in here next week, and do you think I may have done the work? Do you think I might actually be prepared? So you come in here, right? And then we discuss it, and then what was unclear will be less unclear, and perhaps even clear. But it's a process which requires you to put in time and effort. So do that, and then, and again, I'll send you both protocol and what I believe are flaws, and I assure you in the process of that, you're going to find answers that say things like, the flaw is the argument mistakes a condition sufficient to bring about an outcome for a condition necessary to bring about an outcome. Would that look familiar after today's conversation? Talk to me.
I mean, you want us to send you some questions of what we think are flawed questions with the if in it?
Yeah, you go to volume
What
5.
we think that are.
Correct.
Questions. Okay.
Right, and there's not, in other words, it's really by definition.
Okay.
Flawed questions contain one of 4 words and are accompanied by one of 2 words. There really are precious few, if any, exceptions. And that is, again, you're looking for in the question, in the issue, the word flaw, error, vulnerable, questionable. One of those 4, accompanied by the word reasoning or the word argument. They're not trying, it's such a cool test that you cannot practice any area of law without being versed in that law. And you cannot really prepare for this test without being versed in this test. And lazy people don't do that. People who have the attention span of a gnat don't do that. And you know what? There aren't a lot of lawyers that are successful that have the attention span of the fucking gnat. Just saying. And if you have that attention span now, you don't have to maintain it, you can change it. But you've got to change it. So this is hard, this will require effort. But I'm here, and we've been doing pretty well for quite some time, you know, but I need you to put in the work. Okay, we okay with that? So you get what I want. I want that, I want, you do what you do. I mean, you're not gonna disappoint me if I don't get a spreadsheet. But, but you're likely to just put yourself down the road if you don't do the work.
So what you want us to do for next week is go through the flaws again and then write out exactly what the nature of the flaw is?
All I want you to do is send me page and the question number identifying the issue as a flaw. That's it.
Isn't that what we have to do for this week?
Well, yeah, but I didn't get a lot back. What follows then is I send the protocol. But protocol is what I want you to do. The protocol is now saying, okay, now I know what I'm working on is actually a flaw issue, so I'm not applying the wrong technique.
Okay.
Right. But then it's, okay, let me sit down, let me apply this protocol, and what you're trying to get to is, where did the writer begin? Did the writer begin with necessary sufficient? Did the writer begin with, this is where, you know, somebody's not addressing the reasoning of the argument. They're saying that the person making the argument was a bad person. And therefore I throw the argument out because the person making the argument is a bad person. Well, that's a flawed technique.
Right.
Right? And so you're walking it up the ladder, and then the more work you put in, the richer the conversation we're gonna have. You'll have the answer. You know, it's not like you're gonna walk away not knowing what the answer's there. And when you get to the answer, you stop, and if you've chosen something else, embrace you're wrong. No matter how convinced you are, embrace, no, I'm wrong. And then understand why the writer is right. Be able to explain to a third person why what the writer wrote is correct. And when you can explain, like if you're going home to parents or to colleagues or significant others or whatever, if you're going somewhere else and you really want to know if you have this, when you can explain to a third party what the writer, how the writer got to where the writer got, you own it. And easier said than done. But I run a business on the proposition that I can do that at least some of the time. That's what this is about, understanding the writer.
Think we should start at a bar?
I'm sorry?
Think we should start at a bar?
A bar?
Yeah,
Well, the thing, if Plan B, if this doesn't work out,
We're going there.
no. What you're gonna do is you're going to do a RFP, which is a request for proposal, to the LSAC. And the RFP is gonna be, you wanna open up the bar concession at the LSAT during the administration. Imagine like it's at a Broadway show, right? That at the break.
You can get the rights to do that.
Yeah. I mean, how much money, you can give the son of a bitch 60%, you're still gonna be rich. Because everybody's gonna be drinking. All right. Quick, it's just, I want to just give you, the analytical assignment I'm going to give you, right, is the analytical. Again, there are only 3 words you need. And those are organized, managed, and solved. You need nothing else. I want to build on what we discussed last week. don't forget the test. Don't forget that the test has to produce a median score of 58. So roughly, a representative test taker gets a 60 on this test. So if you get a 60, you really did well. I mean, well is subjective. I mean, but if you break 60, where are you going next year if you break 60?
That's good.
Well, yeah, you go more than here, with the 60.
You're going to practically every law school except for NYU and Columbia or New York.
Well, I don't know about, but you're going to have plenty of options.
Yeah.
So it's first of all, understand for them to do that, it makes sense that they're working on an expectation that a test taker will get 60% of a given section correct. So if you take the number 23 and you multiply it by 0.6, you would end up with 13.8. So what I'm saying to you is the starting point for this is to understand what the average representative test taker is achieving, right? And if you achieve what the average representative test taker achieves, you will go to law school. But if you want to exceed it, well, you know what you have to exceed, right? So I'm saying the median's got to be somewhere between the 12 and it's not a 15. There's no way that's 15. So the median test taker is probably getting somewhere between a 12 and a 14, right? And then if you think about it, well, wait a minute, then the test has to be designed. That's the outcome that the test maker wants to come about. The outcome is, I want this to be 13 to be the median score. Okay, well then you have to present question items that produce that outcome. You have to have a design to produce the outcome, right? So how do you get a 13? Well, in analytical, which is different from logical, in analytical reasoning, you may find 5 questions here. So let's say we have 5 here, and we have 6 here, and we have 6 here, and let's say we have 6 here, so that would give us 23, 18, 5, 23, right? So this is how the writer starts off, right? But the writer's going to end up with 14 is going to be the average score. Okay. So how about if I did this? How about in each of these 3, you have to organize, manage, and solve. So if I want to produce failure, would I be more likely to produce failure if I made it difficult to impossible for you to organize it? Talk to me. And would I more likely encourage success if I allowed you to organize it?
Yes.
Do you guys see it? Oh. How about if could I allow you to organize it but make it impossible to manage it or very, very challenging to manage it? Could I do that?
Yes.
Could I allow you both to organize and manage it?
Yes.
Could I allow you to organize and manage all 4 of them readily? If I'm producing an outcome of 13, what would happen if each of the 4, you readily organized it and you readily managed it? Would you likely end up with a 13 median score?
Yeah.
Come on, talk to me.
Yes.
You would screw it up. Capiche? Because if I could organize and manage, organize and manage, organize and manage, organize and manage, wouldn't my score likely be higher than a 13? Come on, talk to me.
Yes.
Have I mentioned, since like day 1, this is way more about sports than academics. It's way, way more. Meaning it's preparation, it's not studying. There's no studying on these tests. It's knowing the other side. It's knowing the mind of the other side and recognizing what they did. So the implication of that is your test will look something like this. In terms of level of difficulty, change this up to change state is 3 to 4. The writer has this all done in advance. You with me? So the level of difficulty is all done in advance. I'm just a writer, I'm just putting it in front of you. But in analytical, since the questions all depend on, did you organize and manage? If I make it difficult to organize and manage, I'm likely to get a result like that, or like that. Would it be fair to say that if this were accurate, the test taker who's trying to get the 14, effective strategy would have been to work on the first and the last hypotheticals and then try to pick these two puppies off? Talk to me.
Yeah.
But if the test taker didn't have that strategy, if the test taker went in and did this because it was first, and did that because it was second, and tried to do that because it was third, do you get that's a person who may not go to law school because their method, their plan was flawed? Not necessarily because they couldn't have gone to law school. You see it. It's really an interesting task. And people don't take time to say, wait a minute, let me try to understand what's going on here. So here's the deal. If you had this information, would it have influenced the way you took this test? Talk to me.
Yeah, absolutely, yeah.
Okay, but I'm saying it's not hard to get that information. Here's the deal. Try exam 64. So just take a look at exam 64. And this is going to be the exercise I'll have you do for the week. And it'll be section 2.
Page 81.
I don't have, I have the individual volume.
Section 2 starts on 88. 88.
Where's it start?
88.
88.
64, right?
Yes. Section 2 of
Yeah,
it.
yeah. I'm going
Well, the
by-
first thing you should be looking at here,
Yes, yeah.
you should be looking at questions 1 through 6, and it should say an administrator must assign.
Yes.
Is everybody looking at that?
Yes.
Okay, then whatever page you're on is the right page.
Okay.
So let me explain to you what the purpose of the assignment is. Do you guys agree that it would be valuable for you to make, if you weren't, even if you were doing all 4 hypotheticals, even if that's what you're doing, wouldn't it have benefited you to do this one and this one first and second, because it would have taken less time?
Yes.
Right, and then you'd have more time to be reflective. So no matter where you are, but again, it's this trait. We are tactical, and I am far, a bazillion times more tactical and more strategic than I am academic. A bazillion times. You know, and I really do think that's reflective of the profession. Although there are certainly some extremely academic folks in our profession. Okay, so what I'm trying to get you to do is recognize if you can organize and manage on the premise that if you can organize and if you can manage, you're more likely to solve. Does that sound reasonable?
Yes.
Okay. So what does organize mean? Organize means to me, visualize. Can I visualize it? And what does visualize mean? Visualize means, can I draw the damn thing? That's all it means, right? So when you come down, when I'm using the word organize, right? Can you draw it? If you can draw something, doesn't it become visual?
Yes.
And couldn't something, and doesn't the visualization assist in cognition?
Yes.
You guys get it? When you can see something, right, the sense of sight assists the ability to reason. And could some things, when you draw them, get completely out of control?
Yes.
Oh, and by the way, in law school, you're going to do tons of drawing, tons of it. So let me give you just a hypothetical. If you could draw, let's say I let you draw something, but it's really impossible, it's going to be impossible to manage. I say, let's do a products liability case. And let's say we're dealing with a paper shredder, which I just happened to purchase recently. And let's say that the paper shredder ended up injuring a client, right? Could it be that any single part of that paper shredder was responsible for the I mean, your client could have been responsible, but could it be the case that any individual part of that shredder was caused the outcome? Could that be the case?
Yes.
And could it be the case that the shredder is composed of 7 different parts? Could that be the case?
Yes.
And could each of the 7 different parts be manufactured in 7 different states?
Yes.
And could each of the 7 different parts manufactured in 7 different states be transported to 7 different locations by 7 different transportation companies? Talk to me.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
And therefore, after being transported to 7 different states by 7 different transportation companies, could they be now downloaded at 7 different further locations? Do you get that's a lot of drawing? Talk to me.
Yes.
Do you get it would be very, very difficult to manage that? Yes? Talk to me.
Yes.
Okay, but that's what you're looking at. That's here. How about if I use the shredder and I say there were 7 parts to the shredder? And the shredder was disassembled 1 part at a time in the following order. How about that? Do you now see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, left to right? And do you now see part A, we do everything, right? Part A is going to be assembled for which one do you want? Which one do you want to manage?
Down.
Yeah. Yeah. So here, what I want you to do is, and I'll use example 64, right? First thing is, can I organize? Organize means read the information above the colon. It'll always be there, always in the same place. Now let's see what it comes up with. Questions 1 through 6. An administrator must assign parking spaces to 6 new employees. They give me RST, VXY. Each of the 6 employees must be assigned one of the following parking spaces, and then they have numbers 1 through 6. No 2 of the employees can be assigned to the same space, same parking space. And the following rules govern. Okay. Anybody in here have a problem? Now, there could be a fly in the ointment here is, don't you want to go don't you want to anchor number 1 on the left and anchor number 6 on the right? Talk to me. But isn't it possible that just because the space is assigned number 1, isn't it possible that number 1 is all the way to the right? And that's what you're reading for. You with me? Now the writer doesn't have to do that, but if they wrote that these parking spots are sequential or consecutive, then you would know that one's going to be over here, right? And 6 is going to be over here. So with the caveat, though, of that number sign, would it be fair to say everybody in here kind of sees that's the likely outcome, yes? And you would draw it that way, right? So would it be fair to say with respect to organization, now again, I haven't made any, but with respect to organization, questions 1 through 6, they're allowing me to draw it, yes? Okay, well, let's move on. Let's go to 7 through 12. Same principle. Again, I want to focus on, because if you cannot organize it, stay the hell away from it. Because you're not going to be able to manage it. All right. 7 through 12, can I organize it? All that means, draw it. I have, government needs to assign new ambassadors to V, Y, and Z. So does everybody see, draw V, draw Y, draw Z? You see? I got a line, I've got the letter V and Y and Z underneath. The candidates for these ambassadorships are J, K, L, and O. I've got J, K, L, and O. One ambassador will be assigned to each country. Is that pretty clear? One ambassador will be assigned to each country. No ambassador will be assigned to more than one country. So you had 5 people, right? You got 3 openings. Doesn't that leave 2 people out of work? Okay, and that's what you're reading for. But in terms of drawing this, you don't see like the 3 lines and the 5 people, and I'm going to drop 1 into each of the 3 countries, yes? Okay. And then the assignment is as follows. So here I see this. Are they letting me draw this? The answer is yes, they're letting me draw this. How would I draw this? I would have it like this. And then the 5 people up here, and I can draw it. Yes? There is no need to overthink this. There is so no need. What they are, I'm telling you, this is a derivative of the hypothetical I just gave you, of terms of coming into law school and whether you're in civil procedure, which is all mapping out, or you're moving on now and you're doing product liability, which is all, so much of this is torts. It's law. It is not logic games. So are we agreeing we could draw both hypotheticals? Okay, let's look at the next one. Next one is questions 13 through 18. On the first day of a 2-day study, so we have 2 days, on the first day of a 2-day study for Cycling Magazine, 4 riders, R, S, T, and Y. So I have day 1, day 2. Now I've got 4 riders, right? R, S, T, and Y. We'll test each of one of 4 bikes, F, G, H, and J. Now wait a minute. I have riders and I have bikes. I've got 4 of each and I've got 2 days. You get in the sense this might be a little bit richer? Keep reading. Each rider will then test a different one of the bicycles on the second day. Oh, okay. So that means if rider S tests bike F on day 1, then rider S does not test F on day 2. But I got 4 bicycles going on day 1, right? 4 slots here. 4 bicycles on day 2. I've got 4 people riding the 4 bicycles. I'm ready to hit the wine bar. Each rider tests only 1 bike per day, and all 4 bikes are tested each day. Do you get a sense that the organization of this requires more diligence and time than the organization of either the first or the second hypothetical? Talk to me.
Yes.
Wouldn't that assist you in making at least a preliminary decision? And again, this is subjective, right? But as a general rule, wouldn't that assist you in making a preliminary decision that maybe you don't want to do the third hypothetical right away? Yes, talk to me. Because this is what you're going to do when you take the test. You're going to have a plan. Your plan's going to allow a certain amount of time, right? And you're going to be making these choices in that time, and you're going to be efficient. Is there a question?
But with this one, I kind of liked about it is that as I was reading through the options, because of the rule that they're each going to be tested, you could almost like once you know which ones go where, then you would also know which ones won't go somewhere. So you might not be able to fill out the whole thing, but it might give you more information to easily answer the question, maybe more than what I might be saying.
Okay, all right, I'm not making any decision because we haven't got managing. We're only at organizing. I'm just saying organizationally to go with 6 people and 6 parking spaces, right? 5 people and 3 countries. Is different from going from 4 people, 4 bikes, 2 days for each day. You get that the rider is adding some challenge there, just on that level. I'm not saying you shouldn't do it right away. I'm saying, let's take a look. Now we'll look at the last one, 19 through 23. There are 8 books, and they give you the 8 books. And they're placed on a bookcase with exactly 3 shelves, top, middle, and bottom. Can everybody in their regular, everyday life see the top, the middle, and the bottom of a bookshelf?
Yes.
Don't you think the writer is helping you here a little bit? At least 2 books are placed on each shelf. Well, there are 8 books, so if at least 2 are on each shelf, you get 2, 2, 2, and there are 2 left to account for. Yes?
Yeah.
And then it says the following conditions. I have 0 problem drawing that. I'm going to draw the top shelf, the middle shelf, the bottom shelf, 2 here, 2 here, 2 here, and 2 that I have to account for. Yes? So for Peter, just on organization, I would be inclined to shy away from the third one. I love that last one because it's just a visual, right? But now they can still screw me, which is, are they allowing me to manage? And how do you tell that? Well, the next step is you look at the constraints. So I can create a very straightforward law, but then I'm now going to make you amend the law. What the constraints do is they make you amend the law. So let's see what we have here. If we go back to questions 1 through 6, right? So here we're at the parking garage, number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And here are the amendments because, well, anyway, here are the amendments. Y must be assigned to a higher number of parking space than T. So stop for a second. So Y, so can you see T arrow Y? Is the number 6 higher than number 1? So T, arrow Y, yes?
Yes.
Next one. X must be assigned a higher number of parking space than S. S, arrow X. Are these pretty straightforward?
Yes.
You bet they are. Third, R has to be assigned a higher number than Y. Y, arrow R. Yes? Y, arrow to the right, R. Yes? Are we 3 for 3 on applying the amendments to the original law? If you don't understand the amendments, you can't amend the law. Capiche? If I want to produce success, I give you a law you can draw, and I give you amendments you can apply. If I want to produce failure, I either give you a law you can draw, but amendments you can't apply, or I give you a law you can't draw at all. Final one. R must be assigned a parking space 1, 2, 3, or 4. Well, that's pretty dope. Yes? Would it be fair to say all 4 of those are concrete? So I'm saying that's a go. Right. Let's look at the next one. Next one, would have already read this. Okay, so this is the 5 going into 3, right? This is Venezuela, Yemen, and whatever the other place is. Zambia. Okay. Here goes. First constraint, either K or N, but not both, is assigned to one of the ambassadorships. So are they requiring here that you be familiar with this more formal language? Yes? Okay. But that tells me that K has to be in one universe, N in a different universe, and they can't both be in any universe. Okay. Second, if J is assigned to an ambassadorship, then so is K. How important would it be to have if-then statements down for this? And understand if J then K implies only if not K then not J, and nothing more or nothing less. Third, if O is assigned as an ambassador to V, if we have that condition, K is not assigned as an ambassador to Y. So if you were fluent in this, this would not be a big deal. If you were not fluent in this, might you stay away? Might you have said, no, I know I can draw it. I know I can draw the 3 things, but I really don't like this. So that's not where you want to be. You want to be prepared. But if you're not, you're not. Final constraint, if L is assigned to an ambassadorship, it is to Zambia. So you'll come to your own decision on, you would have read now, okay, that's how the managing, right, is the application of the amendments to the law. Do you understand those amendments? If you don't understand those amendments, you cannot apply them to the original law. If you do understand them, you're fine. Okay, third one. Here come the amendments. This question is 13 through 18. R cannot test by F. Okay, that's very concrete. Y cannot test J. Again, that's very concrete. T must be one of the testers for H, and that's very concrete. You're saying that T's got to be their one, right? But it can't, but okay. And the final one is that the bicycle that Y tests on day 1 must be tested by Seamus on day 2. I do see that, right? Because then you see Y1S2, Y1S2, Y1S2. In other words, I see that. So I would say the 13 through 18, the constraints are pretty straightforward. There's still a lot of variables up there in the air. But I do in other words, if I didn't understand the logic stuff in the second hypothetical, then the third hypothetical might well be a better place to be. And then the final one. Constraints here for the books and the shelves. Remember, 2, 2, and 2, we had to count for 2 more books. You're doing all this and you're doing it like this, right? You're just like this, because you've seen it all. You gotta be on fire. No pun intended. First constraint, more of the books are on the bottom than on the top. Stop. If more of the books are on the bottom, stop for a second, right? Don't we have 2 on each shelf right now? Doesn't that mean there have to be 3? At least 3 on the bottom shelf. Stop for a second. So now we have 2, 2, 3, yes? We only have 1 book left, yes? Is it fair to say that book cannot go on the top shelf?
Yes.
How comfortable is that? I mean, for me, you gotta be kidding me. I mean, okay, well now I gotta figure out books. So, second amendment, I is on the middle shelf. How helpful is it to put I in the middle shelf? We don't have to worry about I. Yes, talk to me. Yep. K is on a higher shelf than F, so I have F arrow up K. O is on a higher shelf than L. L arrow up O. F is on the same shelf as M. F and M are together. Now stop for just a second. If F and M are together, wouldn't they have to be on the top, the middle, or the bottom shelf? Talk to me, talk to me.
Yeah.
Come on, think like fucking attorney. If F and M are on the top shelf, don't you now know the relationships of many of the other letters? Well, if one is on a higher shelf than the other, and there's no room on the top shelf, doesn't the one that's higher have to be on the middle shelf, and the one that's lower have to be on the lower shelf? If you have F and M both up top, right? And then you say to me, O is on a higher shelf than L, doesn't that mean in that hypothetical, O's got to be on the middle and L's on the bottom? Talk to me. If F and M are on the middle shelf, yes? Doesn't that create the same relationship for O and L? If you put F and M on the middle, you have limited options available for everybody else to go, and we'll get into that. But I'm saying, and if that's not the case, F and M have to be on the bottom shelf, and if F and M on the bottom shelf, is this very visual, and are these amendments understandable?
I was also gonna say, if you were to go like with the second one, that might be a problem because you're forgetting that I is also in the middle shelf, so now you have 4 in the middle shelf, and that goes against the rule.
You couldn't have 4 in the middle shelf.
Huh?
You couldn't have 4 in the middle shelf.
Exactly. So then it probably means that the second option couldn't work. You'd have to have the first one.
Well, we'll get to that. But what I'm saying is, can you see in your mind's eye how this is going to work? And so that's the exercise. So for me, and again, what I say is not, it doesn't mean that's the way you should do it, right? But for me, in this exam, it would have been 1, 4, 2, 3. That's the way I would have done it. Maybe 1, 4, 3, 2, depending on how I felt about this technical language in the second one. But what I'm saying is, most decidedly, what I would not have done here is 1, 2, 3, 4. And your score will be a product of your plan, right? So what I want you to do this week is this exercise in volume 5. In the analytical, right? You go to volume 5, and you say, let me go to exam 62, and let me just look at the organize and manage part. I don't want you to solve. I mean, you can do that if you want, but I don't care. What I want you to do is say, can I draw this thing, right? If it's a yes, that's a good thing. If it's a no, that's really not a good thing. Can I manage it, right? And then I want you to order the way you would have taken that test. So, and then if you send that to me, I'll send back to you how I would. And again, that I do it a certain way doesn't make it right for you. It would give me pause if you sent me the order and all the time you were picking what I thought was the most challenging hypothetical. In other words, this is what I want to avoid, right? And if you keep sending me that, like that's always the first one you're doing, that's probably a problem. It may not be because you may be really abstract. It's probably a problem. But this also is to prepare you for what I want you to do on exam day. On exam day, don't forget, everybody and their mother starts at question number 1. But what if you're not supposed to start at question number 1? What if your plan was it was better to start at question number 19? Then where should you have started? 19. Doesn't that require an initial check to see? And so some way, right, where you can make a preliminary decision about how you're going to proceed. It's a very, very tactical exam, a very strategic exam. It's really interesting stuff. So, I have given you your flaw assignment. I've given you the analytical assignment. You have given me 5 hours of just joy, other than on the if-then statement.
You want to, so, what do you want us to do?
Well, yes. I want you to go over the whole volume. I want you to do 62 through 71, analytical, and say, here's the order I would have attacked it. So all I need to see is 4, 3, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, whatever, right? What would the order that you would have attacked this exam in? And then what you're saying to me is that's based on my understanding of how friendly it would be to organize a manager. Yes? Anything else?
Why did you multiply by 0.6?
Oh, because .6 is, that's going to be the representative score in the test. A 151 score, which is the median, means you did about 60 out of 100. Something. Have a wonderful day, wonderful week. Now, please get the hell out of here. Go do something useful. Hang on, let me turn this off. It's
not raining.
Oh.